Welcome to today's Chefs Forum. On behalf of American Culinary Federation, we are delighted to collaborate and welcome all of the ANFP members tuning in today for this exciting presentation featuring chefs, experts representing our organizations. Now, more than ever, it's important for those of us to connect, to share, and to offer inspiration and mentorship, which is exactly why we're thrilled to host this exciting session just for you, the leaders of the culinary, hospitality, and healthcare food service industries. Before we begin today's presentation, please note that our special guests will be taking questions from you as they are able. Please use the chat function to collaborate with other viewers and the Q&A function to pose questions to today's speakers. Okay, let's get that chat going. If you haven't already, please let us know where you're tuning in from today. I'm Jackie Pressinger, ACF's Director of Strategic Partnerships, and I hope that you're ready to spice it up. We are excited for today's session, and we know you are too, since close to 2,000 of you have registered for this webinar. So at this time, I'll pass the presentation over to Cindy from ANFP. Thanks, Cindy.
Hi, thanks, Jackie. I'm Cindy Zemko. I'm the Vice President of Professional Development and Member Services here at ANFP. And we too are excited to collaborate with ACF to bring you this valuable educational opportunity. So today I'm honored to welcome our featured chefs for an exciting demo focusing on global flavor trends for healthcare food service. So to introduce our featured chefs, first, we have Chef Jason, or JZ Ziobrowski. He is a Morrison's corporate research and development chef and certified executive chef through ACF. And he's based in North Carolina. And Chef JZ focuses on current and forecasted menu trends, evolving customer demand, and health and wellness. And what drives passion in Chef JZ? Well, developing flavorful, artful, better-for-you dishes that virtually sell themselves because they offer a culinary food tour via the palate. So through his local ACF chapter, Chef JZ launched the 5-a-day The Color Way in Charlotte to support the USDA's chefs' move to schools. The program capitalizes on the allure of different colors to teach kids enrolled in dozens of local schools to make better-for-you food choices that include fresh fruits and vegetables. So welcome, Chef JZ. And also we have a moderator joining us today, Chef Wuollet, Jeff Wuollet, a CDM CFPP. So Jeff is a dedicated food service professional committed to serving those in need. With a career mostly in healthcare, Jeff has been proud to work with dedicated caregivers. Food trends and innovations keep Jeff excited to learn and grow. He especially takes interest in food safety and sanitation. Jeff has been a CDM CFPP since 2013 and currently works for a food distribution company as a key account manager. Jeff serves on the Minnesota State and National ANFP Board of Directors. So I think we're ready to get cooking. So I'm going to turn the webinar over to our experts. So first, I'm going to pass the presentation off to Jeff to kick things off.
Perfect. Well, thank you for the introduction, Cindy and Jackie. And Chef JZ, it's great to be kind of in the kitchen with you this morning, however remote it might be. Hopefully what you're making is going to smell as good to you as I'm hoping it does through the internet airwaves for us. And let's have some fun in the kitchen this morning, Chef. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I am very excited to be here. Thank you all for joining in and tuning in. This is no pressure whatsoever. What are 2,000 people? Oh, whatever, right? But we don't see any of you. No, I'm just kidding. But we're gonna have fun. Exactly. You know, you talked about colors, and I mean, just look at those colors. You got the red, the green, the purple. It's huge, and that is a huge passion of mine. Is teaching the industry, not just the younger generations and students, but also the adults. And there are so many people, especially like local to me, that they don't necessarily know all sorts of foods. And when we talk about cultures, introducing those to people, all you have to do is talk about it with excitement. And once that excitement comes out in your voice, especially as chefs, that will then portray into the food and people will want to try it. So we have 2 dishes we're actually doing today. We're doing a samosa in a bowl and an egg roll in a bowl. Now, there you go, right? We all know what egg rolls are. So boom, we're going to put it in a bowl and now we're going to serve it, but we're going to make it a different style. And we're also going to do the samosa, which is Indian. And now we're going to have that creation. Usually a samosa is with a pastry and it's baked and it's usually potato. So we're taking those flavor profiles and we're going to put them in a bowl. And everything these days are served in bowls. It's a way of a carrier. It's all there. It's comfort, and it's going to be very colorful. So Jeff, I mean, to get started,
so these bowls right now are pretty trendy, right? Like, I think it's the versatility in them. A lot of people, you kind of go to these restaurants and you can kind of choose what you want in these bowls. They're healthy, and I honestly think they're here to stay. I know they've been around for a couple of years, so I'm excited that this is what you're going to choose for us today. Being in Minnesota, samosa is kind of exotic to us. We're very Norwegian, very Scandinavian up here in Minnesota. So I'm excited to see what the samosa bowl is all about. An egg roll, I know we all know that. The best way to make an egg roll is to push it, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Push it.
I'm here all day,
so
folks.
Egg rolls usually deep fried. And then egg rolls are deep fried. So we're all talking about health and wellness. It's very important. So we're actually not going to deep fry this. But for a garnish, when I'm done, you by all means could add a deep fried small egg roll as a garnish. That's just, you can do that. You can do whatever you want when you cook. It's funny you say Minnesota. I lived in Minnesota for 4 years. So you know what? You can totally take tater tot hot dish and put it in a bowl.
You sure can. Love it.
All right, so I'm gonna get rolling. Are we ready to roll? Is that okay, Jeff?
We're ready to egg roll.
We're gonna egg roll. We're gonna egg roll around. I'm going to start with the samosa because I enjoy that one. It's one of my new favorite recipes. So when we're looking at designing recipes and we're looking at creating the next new trend or bouncing off a trend, we really want to look at and do our research first. So we look at a lot of websites, Data Essentials. We go to the ACF What's Hot list with the NRA, and we try to figure, National Restaurant Association, and we try to find what are trending and what chefs are using. And Indian cuisine and the spices that are in Indian cuisine are really, really booming right now. Chutneys are booming, different things like that. I'm told that I know Anthony Bourdain said it like 2017, I think, Filipino is going to boom. Well, we're hoping it booms this year and really kicks off. We're bouncing off on that. And we design concepts around that and we research ingredients. So a lot of things with a samosa is you got your filling. And you've got your vegetables. So you got different peppers. I showed you the different colors. You've got onion. Down here, I've got some peas. At the end, I'm going to add some onions, garlic, and ginger. And I used fresh ginger and fresh garlic because using fresh ingredients really makes the flavor pop. Can you use dried? Yes, when you can't get it. But if you can get your hands on fresh ingredients, it's so important. And one of my favorites is always using fresh herbs. I love fresh herbs. I try to have them around as much as I can. Herb gardens are so easy to grow. I mean, rosemary is like a weed, mint's a weed, so you can grow so many different things and they come back each year. So think about different things you can do to get your ingredients to make things taste better. All right, so it's samosa in a bowl. I'm just gonna start. I have a red pepper. I did a lot of my prep in advance so that you're not watching me cut and slice and dice the whole time. We can talk a little more. That's why I haven't started just yet. But I wanted to show a quick way, and you can kind of see, I know it's far away, but I like to take a pepper. All right, this is a red bell pepper. Okay, and it's something I go over when I talk about 5 a day. I talk to the kids when I have a group of them, and I'll give you a little hint. Talk about, a pepper. Peppers come in red, green, and yellow. Well, if you have a pepper, right, and you talk to them about the red, green, and yellow, they've all had green peppers. Well, not for nothing, green peppers taste different than red peppers. And I love explaining that to the kids, especially. Red peppers are sweeter, so they have a different texture, a different flavor profile. Textures are all the same. But I always love saying you've got red, green, yellow, orange. Did you know there's a purple pepper? And the kids are like, no. And you say, yes, there is, and it's in season. And one of the things that we strive for with the company I work for, Morrison, is we want to menu with intention. So we're trying really hard to menu things when they're in season. And then you can really influence the menu when you're doing that. So red bell pepper, I usually have it whole. I will cut the bottom off and then I'll cut the top off. So I have that. And that gives me a surface area to work with so that it's not rolling all over the cutting board, okay? I will then take this little stem, this is the unedible portion, and I will put that in my little, I'm big on no waste. No waste is so important in the world today. Think about what you can utilize and cross-utilize with your leftovers. Obviously, you can make a stock when you're a chef, you can make a vegetable stock, you can do anything you think about, you can recycle it, you can do those things. Try not to just throw it in the garbage can. So I will compost this, and this is from 2 recipes that I did, and I made enough ingredients to do 4 people. So that's pretty cool. I always try to show that. Practice.
Chef, I think that's really important right now, especially with rising food costs. As we all know, this last year, food costs went up like, what, 15%? So anything you can do to eliminate waste is going to help your bottom line, not food costs. And, you know, we'll see it go up again. Right now, it's like $8 for a dozen of eggs in my local grocery store. So extremely important. Watch out for that.
I almost fell over when I bought eggs the other day. I know, it's crazy how much things are. So, I mean, obviously, you just got to look at your menus and think through what you're doing and then menu as you can menu with the ingredients available. So I had that bell pepper. I cut the top, cut the bottom off. I made a slice right down the side, and then I put the pepper on its side. I put the knife in, and I'm not a fan of the pith, and I'll show you what that is in a minute. And I literally just roll my pepper out, and I have what's left is the middle. I know I made that look really easy, but practice, it makes perfect, obviously. Practiced a lot. But then I have all of that as my edible portion, and I would put that right into my waste bowl or my waste knot. And then I'll just take the pepper, and I always teach this too, rocking motion. And you always want to make sure you have your knife on the board. I always tell students that if you hear that's a bad sound, that's just show, okay? You always make sure you're rocking the knife on the board. So I'll rock some nice pieces. I always talk about curling your fingers. I mean, it's so simple, the little things we're taught that we don't realize when we're out there in the industry and doing. I've seen so many people with flat hands. Just keep your fingers curled. And all I'll do is I'll take that and I'll just dice up. What you want to do when you're doing the samosa in a bowl, you are utilizing all the parts, obviously. I keep all my cuts pretty much the same. That's what I'm looking at, because you want consistency in the cook. I do have potatoes that are going into this. I am cutting those a little smaller, just because potatoes take a little longer to cook than peppers. But I wanted to make this recipe easier, because we look at that in the industry. Who has time to wait for all the different things? So cut the potatoes a little smaller, kept all the peppers the same size. I actually have a potato too. I'm just going to grab that really quick. I have an extra bowl down here that I'm just putting on my scraps there. So I'm just going to cut my potato again, like I said, on the board. And I always do the, even at home, I have different colored cutting boards for everything. So I'm on my green board. So I have my potatoes, and I'm going to make those a little bit smaller cut than I did with the peppers. And I'm adding it all to the bowl. And this is just a demo, like I said.
Yeah, so as you're doing that, Chef, so I come from a healthcare background, and even in healthcare, we're starting to see some trends in like global cuisine, and we're getting a younger resident that has been maybe more worldly and has traveled and has had like these experiences across the world. How do you incorporate some of these cuisines into, you know, like I said, a very basic Norwegian Minnesota menu? How do you bring that exposure to your residents?
Here's a little, I got personal answer to that, and then I have a professional answer. I'm going to give you personal because I love my personal side of things. It's all about personality and talking about the dish. If I was to go somewhere and talk about something that I truly enjoyed, I love this samosa in a bowl. It is a different ingredient. It is different. But you also have to look at what's happening in our industry. Every single one of the younger generations has one of these things, this little mini computer in your hand. And not for nothing, they are always online. The whole TikTok world, the Instagram world, the Facebook world, all those different platforms, they're all talking about food, which thanks to the Food Network back when I was in the 90s, that was the Food Network. Now their Food Network is their phone, and it's instant.
Yes.
So you think about your clientele, look at your clientele when you're serving. Is it a younger generation? Well, you know what? Start doing some research on TikTok. There are so many TikTok things that are happening now. I don't want to get us out of the whole conversation, but they're called disruptors. It's something that's hot for a little bit. The quesadilla that folded 4 ways, remember seeing that? That was new. It folds up like a sandwich. You have your quesadilla on the board and you fold it around and then you griddle it. And that was hot for a while. I think butter boards are hot right now.
Yes.
Everybody's doing butter boards.
Oh, yeah.
Who knew? And now there's mayo boards and peanut butter boards. I mean, there's so many different things happening in our industry. Find what works for you and then try it out. Like I said, we do a lot of research to see what trends are happening. Indian is happening last year. That cuisine, that culture, there's a lot of individuals that are understanding that with all the restaurants that are opening. So we move forward with that and then we start developing and then we'll test it. That's the professional side. Personal side is your personality is going to sell this dish. You're going to want to go try it. Oh my goodness. Did you ever have fresh ginger before? Oh, it's so good. And people look at you, go, really? Especially if they never had it. So back to the recipe real quick. I put the peppers in. I got my potatoes in. I added yellow bell peppers, already diced up the same. I'm going to add green bell peppers. I'm going to add small diced white onion. I use Vidalias because I'm down in the South and Vidalia onions are pretty popular down here, all right, down in Georgia. I have some ginger and I already chopped that up. One of the things I didn't talk about, and I should have, I'm going to talk about it now though. If you noticed, I did not peel the potato. I left the skin on the potato. I'm also about to cut this carrot right here, and I'm not going to peel it. I washed them really, really good. That's really important. One of the things we're looking at is waste not, like I said before. Sitting here and peeling a potato and a carrot, that's time. And you know what? All the nutrients, and I've talked to nutritionists and dietitians, all the nutrients are in the skin. Why are we throwing it away? So again, it's just that training mode. Growing up, you always peel your potatoes and carrots. You don't have to anymore. So I want you to think about that as you're, making your dishes, doing your recipes. You don't have to be peeling your vegetables, which saves time.
Love it.
I clean these. I'm doing a bias cut on the carrot. Jeff, and I think that'll do. So all my ingredients are in there. Got my carrots, my potatoes, my tricolored peppers, the yellow, the red, the green. I've got my onions. There you go. You see
Look
it
at
on
that
the bowl,
color.
right? I mean, it's just unbelievable. I truly love this dish. So colorful. One of the things now I'm going to talk about, I do have dried herbs that I'm going to add to this. You can add just straight gram masala, which is an Indian spice. We chose to go a little different. We're adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different spices dry, but it's going to add a level of flavor to the dish. On this plate, I'm going to bring it close to you. Should be able to see it when I turn it. There we go.
Yep.
Everybody can see that. We got chili powder, coriander, onion powder, curry, garlic powder, and turmeric. I love turmeric, and everybody hears about turmeric, but one of the things I didn't know at first, just eating turmeric doesn't do anything. But eating turmeric and adding black pepper to it, there's a chemical composition that happens, and it activates the turmeric in your body. Now, you have to eat a lot of it, but eating that once in a while really, it helps understand what you're putting in your body, know what you're putting in your body. So I'm going to take those 7 spices. I'm going to use my spatula, and I'm just going to add all of it. There's like a teaspoon each, I think it is in the recipe. And then I'm going to add, calls for oil, use a tablespoon of oil. Definitely practice what you preach. Like I say, measure what you're doing, measure out stuff. You talked about it already, saves the food cost, saves with what you're eating. You know how much fat's going in there, 1 tablespoon of oil. That's now you know what's in your dish. I will then take all those ingredients. I'm just gonna give them a quick stir to get all the vegetables coated with all those delicious spices. And it's already started. You talked about smell-o-vision and the smell. I wish you could smell what this smells
I'm
like,
pretending
and it
to.
hasn't even cooked yet.
I can smell that curry.
Yeah, the curry, definitely. So once I have that well mixed, I have a little sheet tray. I put a little piece of parchment on there. You can use foil, whatever you need. And I'm just gonna put that right on the tray. And this takes 20 minutes to bake. So once that's on the tray, I spread it out evenly so everything cooks evenly. And because my carrots were cut on a bias, I made sure they were small and thinner I got my potatoes cut smaller and then my peppers. So hopefully everything will cook all in the same time. It will, not hopefully. So I'm going to put that in the oven.
We hear a lot about these
now we
one
just stand
sheet
here.
dinners as well. This is kind of the same idea, right? Everything's on one sheet, throw it in the oven, real easy.
Yep.
Like this is really an easy recipe.
Oh, it was totally easy. So I cooked that at 400 for about 20 minutes. And like I said, the magic of television, ta-da, it's done. I already had one in there, which is really cool. What I will do is I'm going to add my frozen peas now over the top of the hot veggies. And then I'm going to pop it back in the oven for about 3 minutes. What it is the frozen peas, if you put those in the beginning, they're going to be gray. And we want this to pop with color like we talked about, because people eat with their eyes. You got to remember that. People eat with their eyes. They see food first and then they taste it. And like I said, if you're popping with flavors, they'll see it, they'll want to try it, they'll buy it, then they'll taste it and they'll be like, that's really cool. And again, it all starts with, have you ever had curry before? No, I've never had curry. Oh, well, it's a little spicy sometimes, so be ready. Start off a little at a time. Introduce it small. That's what I like to do. All right, so we're going to pop that back in for like a minute. And while that's going, you asked a question about like, how do you know what to menu? Definitely think about the weather. All things factor into when you're menuing stuff. Obviously the seasons, we talked about that already. But if it's a cold day, this is a comfort food. It's in a bowl. It's going to be warm. You can talk about it as being comfort food because it is in a different culture though. And then you can talk it up and talk about being cold outside. Check out this warm, sometimes spicy flavors do warm the insides. Okay, some people get really warm, but it'll help warm the insides. It's really cool. So,
Chef, we had a question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
So you left the skin on the carrots and the potatoes. Does this add anything as far as texture goes, leaving that skin on the potato and the carrot?
I don't think so. I mean, if you're used to eating carrots that are peeled, then it might have a slightly different texture, but I don't think it has a different texture at all. When you start looking at special diets in the healthcare world, now we have to start thinking a little different.
For sure.
Right now, I'm cooking for the Gen Pop, as I say, general population, the guests that come in to visit that can eat anything. But you think about it, a lot of patients can eat whatever they want. You might go in for a surgery that you don't need a special diet for. Well, hopefully you get to try these items on menus, which is a new direction that I think should go. Not everybody should have to eat low salt if you're in there for no diet needs whatsoever. I've seen that. So while that's going, I'm actually going to chop up a little cilantro as a garnish. But I like to, it's not on the recipe, it's kind of an add-on. I wanted to add a chutney to this dish as well, because chutney is big in Indian cuisine. And it's a way to introduce some kind of a sauce. So I'm going to do a simple chutney. Usually chutneys are yogurt-based or fruit-based, or they're more savory. They're not like a jam. Jams are more sweet. Chutneys are a little more savory. So I actually have chopped up serrano peppers that I already chopped up that I'm putting into the blender here. I'm going to use a little bit of yogurt, and I have regular Greek yogurt. Okay, because yogurt is a huge condiment in the Indian cuisine. So I have the yogurt. I'm going to use a little lemon juice, okay, because lemon is a citrus and it adds that the salt enhancer. We probably will add a little salt. And then a little bit of vinegar, because vinegar is known in chutneys. And then I took the cilantro, and I'm going to put some cilantro in there fresh. And then more vinegar and water. The vinegar is cut with a little bit of water. And then I'm just going to quickly, in a blender, in a burr mixer, shouldn't be too loud. We talk about colors, right? See that green color?
Very nice.
It's going to pop on the plate. It's going to be beautiful. Then I'm going to grab my stuff out of the oven. And we're going to plate the first dish, because that is what we're all about. So I talked about, like, you can do this as a chef's table. You can have this set up as a banquet service. You could do a buffet line. Just know to fire things and cook things off as you go. Usually, I wouldn't like mass produce all of it and let it sit, because once these veggies sit for a long period of time, they will start to turn a different color and it won't be as pretty. So I do have my bowl. And then for the samosa, I actually have straight up white rice. My former job was a rice company, so I love rice, all sorts. You could do straight up quinoa, you can do farro, you can do any grain. You can mix the grain into the rice to introduce it. That's one of the things I love to do, is I put quinoa into my rice, cooked, and once they're both cooked, I mix them. And then I'm just gonna add, before I do it though, I wanna do this, that's right. It's all about plating, right? Forgot about that.
You were right, Chef.
So we have our sauce. I'm gonna pour the sauce on the bottom of the dish. So I've got this green sauce, the green chutney on the bottom of the dish. I'm gonna add my white rice, and you can go with less rice because it's a starch, and you already have potatoes in the dish. So you can you don't need 2 cups of rice. You could just do I do like a half a cup of rice, and I'm gonna do it right in the middle, and I'm gonna hold this up so you can see it. And then I'm gonna take my veggies, my beautiful colors, nice and warm, and I'm gonna put that right on top. And it's about a cup and a half of veggies on top of that. And this dish is so filling because of the potatoes and everything else. And I know I told you 20 minutes, so the other one's probably done almost. And then I'll garnish with some cilantro. I was gonna chop it, and then I said, nah, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm just gonna put one little sprig on top. Because we can do whatever we want, right?
You sure can. Look at that.
Can you see that?
It is popping.
This. And now you can see the
now we really can see it. Wow.
I mean, it's just such a great dish. All right. So there's one dish ready to go. My daughter's going to love that for lunch. Actually, dinner. She's not here right now. One of the things I didn't do, I didn't taste everything. I know that sauce had plenty of, always want to taste. Make sure you're tasting each individual thing before you serve it. I've made that sauce so many times, so apologize that I didn't go over that, but I know it was good. It's got flavors. If it needed more salt, I would have added. One of the things I do is I have my little salt container. I always have a half teaspoon or a teaspoon around, and I will add salt that way. Because one of the things you always eat, how much salt is in that? And the worst thing to say, especially in our industry, I don't know, it's got salt. But you say, there's half a teaspoon added to that. There was no salt on any of the veggies, so they were just natural. You want to taste what they are. You can add a little bit to help enhance the flavor. I did not, because I didn't need to. I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to put this behind me, over there. All right. That was samosa in a bowl. Got to see it. It was pretty colorful. Jeff, you got any questions for me? Anything come through that we need to talk about?
Something you said that I really love and want to emphasize is when we're in healthcare, we are a lot of times cooking without salt or low sodium. And there are a lot of quick, easy ways of adding flavor without adding salt. You said the lemon kind of emphasizes that flavor and kind of brings the salt out, even though there's not a lot in that. So love that. Using all those herbs are really going to just pack a bunch of flavor versus just always dumping, a gallon of salt in there.
Absolutely. I never realized that basil is another really great ingredient to use. It's so powerful. Majority, not everyone, knows caprese salads, and it's tomato, mozzarella, basil. In my mind, menu with intention, don't be serving caprese salads now. Tomatoes aren't in season, basil's not in season, you're buying things that are not in season. So think about when you'd serve that. Summertime, early spring maybe, those flavors of those veggies are so powerful and so delicious. It changes your experience. Right now, and I mean, tomatoes are ripening on trucks. I'll just say it that way. Maybe not necessarily exactly like that. There are greenhouses. I know there's exceptions, but how often do restaurants have that exception? I mean, it costs money for that special stuff. So I always say, think about what's in season when it's in season. We talked about food costs quite a few times on this call. It's also really good to buy fruits and vegetables in season because they're less expensive. Right now, strawberries are through the roof like eggs because they're just not in season, depending on where you are. So I always look at those ingredients and things. All right, samosa in a bowl is done. and I do have a recipe here. I believe the recipes will be shared later. I have them and I sent them out to all the powers to be. We're gonna go over the egg roll in a bowl. When I designed this recipe, I thought about the egg roll. Everyone loves a fried egg roll. The middle, what's in the middle? So we enhanced it a little bit, but I bought Napa cabbage. Okay, this is what Napa cabbage looks like. You could buy regular cabbage and do things like that. I bought Napa and I actually shredded it already, okay, in the dish. And then I bought bok choy, because bok choy is an ingredient, an Asian ingredient, okay? It's always in a lot of dishes and a lot of stir fries, things like that when you're doing Asian cooking. So I bought bok choy. You could do baby bok choy, and just, I wouldn't chop it up, because when you buy baby vegetables, you kind of want to leave them a little more whole so you can actually see what they are. As we're bok choy, you can slice this up. I fancy word, I chiffon out and julienned all this ingredients in a bowl. So I have my cabbage done already and my bok choy done. There's my filling of my egg roll, right? But it needs more. It needed shredded carrot. So I added that to the dish as well. And then it needed red onion. So I added some red onion, really thin sliced red onion. And now with this one, I'm gonna saute right in front of us. And I'm gonna use sesame oil, soy sauce, and hoisin. And those three components will then be a similar flavor to what an egg roll is. Once I add the ginger, you've got instant egg roll. It's so amazing, it's so cool. For this dish, I like to talk about things too. Everything doesn't have to be vegetarian all the time. But think about it, that samosa in a bowl is vegetarian. But that samosa in a bowl would also go amazing with a piece of chicken, a piece of fish, maybe even a piece of steak. So you can enhance your dishes with a piece of protein, because you can never not serve a protein. There's just, we live in a world, everybody wants protein. But be aware that certain ingredients you might put in there, like quinoa, that's a plant protein. If you add tofu to that, that's another soy protein. Just know your allergens. That's a big thing too. Here's number 9 of your allergens.
Yeah, it just came out in the food code.
Exactly. Toasted sesame is an allergen. It's 1 tablespoon, by the way. That was a tablespoon. I didn't measure and I said I would. Darn chef and me, just pouring it in. But I put a little bit of sesame oil in the pan, and I'm gonna first saute my garlic. I'm sorry, my ginger, just to give it a little bit of flavor. We love that sound as chef.
We do. I can hear that. I can almost smell it.
Yep. And as it's popping, I'm just gonna add my veggies, and I'm gonna let that wilt a little. Now, before we started, I actually cooked off my turkey just in a pan, and I have it already cooked. It's lean turkey. So I'm gonna enhance my egg roll in a bowl with some turkey. So I've got that going. Ginger boils quick. Sesame has a high smoke point, so it's fast. It really sautés. And that sound, to jump, saute means to jump. I love teaching, right? I told you that. Saute means to jump. So you want to make sure if you ever say you're sauteing, if I just put that in there and you heard nothing, we would not be sauteing. We'd be simmering. So we got everything's getting nice and wilted. I could see the ginger starting to get mixed in. I'm going to add the soy sauce. I think it's 1/4 cup. Fresh lime. I think lime is a great flavor. You can add lemon. I like the lime. Again, holding that end, this can be squeezed. If you save them all, throw them into your water station if you have one. It flavors your lemonade, your limeade, anything you can do. You can use this again. Just make sure it does cross-contamination. You don't want to do that. The smell, yeah.
You're making us hungry, chef.
There's that. Then I'm going to add my turkey to it. I'm at about 3 ounces of turkey. Just so you
now,
know.
like you said, you could omit the turkey. This could be a vegetarian dish as well, right?
Absolutely. I would, yeah, totally. I like cilantro. Make sure it's on the recipe. It's not on the recipe, but I'm going to add a little bit of cilantro. Don't tell anyone.
Do you have any good
Again,
suggestions for subbing out the sesame oil? With that being an allergen, could you use just a regular, another oil? Or I know you're really going for that umami of that sesame, but is there any other subs you could use?
Totally. You could totally use straight up olive oil or canola oil.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say to use any oil because you got to get that saute to happen. You need that caramelization of things, so the oil should be in there. But that's another really colorful dish. I'm going to shut that off. Okay, and then I'm going to hit it with a little bit of hoisin. And hoisin is a great flavor also. Just a sauce. And there's that. And this fits the whole flavor profile. I know I'm getting fancy, sorry. You can mix it with your spatula, just like you would at home. And again, beautiful smells coming out of that.
When we're talking about low sodium cooking, you definitely could use low sodium soy sauce, right?
That's right here, low sodium soy.
What you're already using, yeah. And you're not really jeopardizing any of the flavor with that.
Nope, I don't think you are. You know, if it needs more salt, have them add their own salt. But just know that you made that to the flavors you want it to be. I do want to taste just because, sorry, I know I'm tasting, you're not, but just want to make sure all the flavors are there. Oh yeah. It doesn't need any more. They got the lime, that citrus comes out. Once that citrus hits your palate, you're like, boom, it awakens your taste buds, and you can taste the cabbage and you can taste the bok choy. I love this dish as well. This is actually a dish my wife told me I should make. She's like, why not just do inside out egg roll? I'm like, inside out egg roll. So we call it egg roll in a bowl. Again, it's just so, the colors of all the veggies are really awesome. Put that in there. And now for this, I'm going to garnish just with some scallion right on top. And then I like toasted sesame seeds. You want to make sure if you buy sesame seeds that you toast them a little, just like nuts. It releases the oil and it adds another flavor. And it's just such a depth of taste and flavors.
You're also getting a little crunchy texture from those sesame seeds, aren't you, Chef?
Yeah, a little bit of crunch. Now you can add things like some onion. You can take the egg roll wrappers. You can deep fry them.
Oh, sure.
You can do some, and you can add a crunch to it. But now for this one, I'm going to come up here. And again, you could just see egg roll in a bowl. Beautiful. With the turkey.
Beautiful.
All right. So 2 dishes. Pretty much went through it with you all and made them all. Thanks for that. I would love to take some questions if we could, if that's all right with
yeah, there's been a few coming through. I guess one question I have, you know, as we're starting to bring in some of these global flavors and techniques, how do you go about training your staff? I mean, I hate to pick on Minnesota all the time, you know, not that we're this weird remote state, but how do you teach them about some of this stuff? I mean, obviously attending seminars like this is great. But, you know, in healthcare, we're working with a lot of staff that don't have a lot of classical training and they're just kind of thrown in on the job. What's the best way to get them excited about some of this?
There's a couple of different things we're doing as a company. Because we all have one of these, when the pandemic happened and the QR code came out, and that's how you looked at menus and things, we've actually started to menu links on bulletin boards in facilities where the employee can say, oh, I got to make egg roll in a bowl tonight. Let me go up, scan the little QR code, and there's a short 1-minute video. I wouldn't go over a minute, or maybe say a minute and a half, because people's attention span is horrible these days. I would look at keeping your videos to a minute and a half, and it's just quick demo. I could have made this samosa in a bowl really fast, just showing nice cuts, showing different things, talking about baking it off in the oven. I mean, we just had 2 dishes, 40 minutes? So, yeah. And we went pretty slow. I might have went fast, but that was really slow. I could have made those a heck of a lot quicker.
Great.
So video learning is huge. Having the time when your exec chef could sit down and train is a thing of the past these days, but having others in your company, being able to share your experience on how to do this, having someone, maybe it's one of your employees is really good at making it, just video them on your phone and then be able to save that video and then share that. remember the TikTok craze. I mean, everybody goes on there, and my wife's making things she saw on TikTok, and she's not a chef at all. So different things, baking cakes in a microwave on TikTok.
Right.
I keep referencing that, but Instagram's the same way, and seeing things. People love videos right now, especially entertaining. I mean, the check it out, we're gonna go over here and woohoo, we're doing some crazy stuff, and we love that. But I'll tell you, and also that we learn. So the QR code's a great way to look at it to train staff. Taking the time to actually train the staff would be the best. Making sure staff can taste this dish is huge, because if you should be able to make this, maybe you as the chef make it, and then you have that, everybody taste it, so then they can talk about it. Like I said, that personality, you might not have someone with personality working that station that day, which I hope you would, but you may not. But the person at the deli who's got the personality like crazy would say, holy cow, go check out that egg roll in a bowl, it's delicious. Boom, they're gonna listen because they have their following, so to say. People trust people. And once you get that trust, then people want to try these things and really taste them.
Yeah, exciting.
Hope I answered that.
I know we talked about subbing other oils, but someone asked, is there something else you could sub out the soy sauce with if someone had a soy allergy?
Soy sauce. Well, top of my head, I don't have anything like, honestly, we joked about this before, but you know what? I would say, Alexa, what's a sub for soy sauce? And Alexa may answer and tell you different things you can do for that. Obviously, you can add salt. You can use a gluten-free soy that doesn't have any anchovies and something else. Sorry, it doesn't have the gluten in there. Sorry, the wheat's in the soy. Do you have anything that you would sub, Chef? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to mimic that soy flavor. I agree with you though. Like, I'll be honest, a lot of our kitchens that I have right now, we do have an Alexa in there, and we listen to it for music, and we'll ask Alexa for ideas. I mean, in my own kitchen at home, I love pulling up recipes on my Alexa with the screen. So use the technology and the resources that you have at your disposal. I mean, don't be too humble to, ask Alexa.
Exactly. I mean, it's just like going to a book and looking it up. I mean, here, I have the Food Lover's Companion right here in my kitchen, okay? So I reference this a lot to see what's in there, what things are. I mean, you're only human. You can't remember everything you learn. There's a lot of things I'm like, oh, I should remember that, but I don't. But yeah, the Alexa works really well. I'm surprised she didn't answer me. I think I put her on mute so she didn't talk while I was cooking, but.
I think that's a fair point to also make sure our staff, like I said, in healthcare, we're getting a lot of, we're just trying to get anyone we can. We're trying to get a body with a pulse. And they probably don't have a lot of training in culinary. And so letting them know it's okay to ask questions and to just kind of learn as they go. We're really struggling with staff, so we got to take what we have. And as long as they're open and eager to learn from us, give that knowledge that you do have.
Yep. With that being said, you talked about short staff. That's one of the things I notice is an issue right now. It's an issue everywhere. We're all wondering where everybody went to work. We get it. But before I go to that thing, sub for soy, tamari. If you're not dealing with a soy allergy or monitoring your sodium intake, tamari is the closest to taste soy sauce. There you go. So tamari. When it comes to staff, think about your menus and adjust your menus appropriately. Don't serve the entire menu that you have when you're short-staffed. You'll piss people. You'll make people mad. You'll upset people. It's easier just to cut back. So think about your recipes that are simpler. These two recipes are easy. They're a couple ingredients. I think they're 7 to 8 ingredients or less. We're talking about seasonality. So your menu with intention. I said it again. It's one of the things my boss constantly says to me. But you think about what you're menuing and don't put 100 ingredients. Yeah, I use quite a few dry spices, but we all usually have dry spices on hand. So just think about what you're menuing and help your staff out. I think if you show your staff that you're not making them run the, California Pizza Kitchen recipe, or no, not Cheesecake Factory menu. Cheesecake Factory menu is ginormous. Like, you're not running that menu every single day. If you can, then do it. But if you can't, cut some items out. Cut a few things out. Run them as specials different days maybe, and bring back stuff slowly. But if you help your staff out, they will help you. I've seen that in the industry constantly. What else we got?
Yeah,
I'm ready for more.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of questions come through here, but talk to me a little more about your 5-a-day program. I'd love to hear, that initiative. Color is important, and it sounds like you're working with some schools. So,
with the amount of people on the call, I wish I could hear you all, because what I do is I usually get a group of 75 to 100 kids, and I introduce myself, and I'm a chef, and I'm wearing my chef clothes, and I'm like, hey, everybody, check it out. And I talk about the different colors of peppers, and I talk about the different flavor profiles of things. I talk that onions are all different. You've got red, you've got white, you've got yellow, you've got scallion. Those are all onions. You've got leeks. And I try to have all those ingredients there. And then I'll say, repeat after me. And the whole place gets quiet. And you say, 5 a day. And they scream back, 5 a day. The colorway, portion size, size of my fist. And for them, I want them to eat 5 portions of fruits and vegetables every day. Portion size is the size of their fist. Now, as you get older, it's not the size of a fist anymore, because our fists are ginormous. But we would love that. But there's no way you can eat 5 portions of your fist. But for a little third grader's fist, that's a perfect portion. I hold up an apple, and I'll hold up a kid's fist, and I'll say, is this the same size as Sammy's fist? And everybody says, yeah. And you just excite them. And no joke, doing that program, I have the whole thing lined out. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever. I'm happy to share it. I have a shopping list, about $80 for all the ingredients. But then as a chef, you just got to challenge yourself and use those ingredients at home. And then I have the whole program lined out, what you can do, but it's to excite the kids, excite them about fruits and vegetables. There are kids out there that don't know where carrots grow. They know they get them at Walmart, or they know they get them at Target, or they know they get them at a grocery store, but they don't know where they grow. They grow in the ground. And there's even adults, but I won't say that. But there are adults that don't know the different things that us as chefs take for granted. We all know there's a farm, but what does it take to get that produce? So I talk about the program, I teach the kids, I excite them. And one of my reasons why I do it so long, I've been doing it since 2012, besides the passion of teaching, the little kids' reactions, or when a Facebook mom texts me and says, how did you get my kid to eat broccoli? I've been trying for 4 years now. And I'm like, I just challenged them, or someone says, my kid's doing tally marks every day. Make sure he gets his 5, or she gets her 5. And I'm like, that is awesome. That is so rewarding, because now those children, those kids are eating better, challenging themselves. And it's all because we asked them to, and taught them about a pepper. So that's a nutshell of the program. It does go, we make smoothies, and I'll have a blender out, and I'll walk by and I'll have all my veggies out, and I'll pre-make the smoothie already. But I'll say, what do you want in this? And I'll throw in a strawberry, I'll throw in a banana. They're all cheering. And then I pick up the beets, and I drop the beets into the blender, and then I cover it and I blend it with a little bit of honey. And then they're like, ew. And then I make them all taste it. You watch your allergens and make sure no one can do it. But then when they taste it, the beet, and you talk about the nutrients in beets, and that it's really no different. It's so delicious, so amazing. Yeah, sorry. No passion in that.
No, I love the passion. And coming from senior living, that easily could be taken to your residents and do it in an activity and really just get excited. Like you said, a lot of us maybe don't fully understand the full process of going from the ground to your plate and every step that goes in there. And I know residents I've worked with in the past, they love that. They love when you can cook food in front of them, especially if you have the excitement like you, Chef JZ. And everyone loves to sample food. So just get out there and teach them, and they'll definitely get excited about it. Even here in Minnesota, we may be a little nervous to try some of these things. And rather than maybe having it on the menu, try it in a fun food chef demo kind of way to just introduce them and build from there. People love food.
There you go. And relate to the environment that's around you. Relate to what's happening around you. So when you say Minnesota and you talk about introducing stuff, we all know what a crab cake is, right? Usually it's crab. Usually it's not the fake crab. Surimi, I think it's called. And you make a crab cake and you add breadcrumbs. Well, in Minnesota, crab isn't that popular. But guess what is? Walleye.
Oh, walleye.
So I did a walleye cake. Took the same way you would do a crab cake. I just omitted the crab and added poached walleye. And I'm telling you, it was like one of the #1 hits on the restaurant that I was in when I was in Minnesota, and I was in Marshall, even rural Minnesota.
Yeah, no kidding.
And they sold, and it was all about teaching your staff how to sell it, and then making sure it was flavorful, serving it with we did cocktail sauce, because Minnesota, you all know what that is, and tartar sauce.
Yep.
And then we switched it up a little. One time we even called it a remoulade, and they were like, "A what?" But again, it's just teaching. It was. I say that with fun. I mean, it was interesting. You couldn't just serve anything. You had to slowly break people in to what you're serving.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if there's other questions, please send them through the chat. We have about 10 minutes left here. I know there was a question about handouts and CEUs. There will be an email that's sent out after this with a survey. So look for that, and that's definitely how you will get your CEUs. I would like to just extend a welcome again to all of our ANFP members that are here. It's great to have you on here. It's great to build that connection with the ACF. We're so thankful for your time today, Chef JZ. And we just love your power. I love your passion and excitement. It makes me want to just go and cook some good food. That's all we need. I also want to I'll thank all the ACF members that joined. That's another group that's amazing. I mean, together we're so powerful. I mean, there's so many people on this call right now. So thank you for all tuning in. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to eat this for lunch. Hopefully you all go out and make it and eat it too. But thank you so much. That's awesome.
You've been awesome to work with.
Thank you.
I hope to do more of these demos. Yeah.
Love it. I will throw it back to you then, Jackie. Oh, we got you muted there, Jackie.
Great, amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so hungry now. A huge virtual round of applause as we thank Jeff and JZ for being here today. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your culinary insights and for representing both ACF and ANFP communities so well today. So thank you very, very much for that. As Jeff mentioned, please be on the lookout. We will send out a survey plus the recording as well as the recipes. And please do take the time to complete the survey so we can continue to offer educational opportunities that interest all of you. Be on the lookout for ACF and ANFP's next collaborative webinar. We'll certainly keep you posted when we are able to schedule our next one, and you won't want to miss it. You're all welcome to join us on our next webinar. ACF will be hosting a Valentine's special where we'll learn how to make some heart-shaped cream puffs to add to your dessert menu on February 6th with a demonstration live for the Culinary Institute of America. And for more culinary inspiration or to register for upcoming webinars, feel free to check out our news site at wearechefs.com. And mark your calendars. I know that both of our associations are heading to the Big Easy this summer. And as a reminder, ACF National Convention will be held July 16th to 19th in New Orleans. So again, on behalf of ACF, thank you to ANFP for your continued partnership and for collaborating with us today. And we thank you all for joining us. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.